You're listening to It Takes a Village podcast with Liberty,
Megan,
and Brianna, where you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be you.
Okay, ready?
Yeah. Here we go.
Okay. Welcome to It Takes a Village podcast. I'm Megan, and today we're interviewing Kelsey Weaver. She is a breastfeeding specialist. But first, I want to make sure you're following us on our socials, and Liberty's going to tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, please follow us if you have not. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh man, I haven't followed you on Instagram yet, plus the form for any feedback on what we're doing or experiences that you want to share or on our socials, follow us on Instagram at ITA_village_podcast. And then if you have anything that you want to share, email us at itavillagepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's itavillagepodcast@gmail.com. And then Instagram handle, ITA_village_podcast. All right. So now we can get into the real stuff, and we're done talking about social media, but we're so excited to have Kelsey here today.
Let's do it.
We just got done with our Titty Time episode. So, this is timely for us and hopefully for you guys too. So welcome, Kelsey.
Thank you.
Yay.
I'm really excited about being here. I've been excited since you guys invited me.
Oh, wonderful. We're equally as excited.
Yeah.
Well, how about we get started with who you are and how you got into this profession and what you do, and I guess an official title too, because I don't think breastfeeding specialist covers it all.
Yeah. I always tell people that I'm like a feeding specialist because when they hear just breastfeeding, they think that like I won't help them do anything else, because my job is that I am an OB nurse at a critical access hospital here in Gunnison, and I can help people deliver babies. But what I really love doing is the lactation specialist job. My certification is an IBCLC, so an internationally board certified lactation consultant. And it did take a while to get that. And I have lived in Gunnison for about 15 years now. We moved here when my husband went to college at Western. And then, we both grew up in Denver. And then we got married and came out here when we were like 24. And we stayed until he was done with his degree. And then we were kind of not committed to going back to Denver, and we just never did. Every time we went back to Denver, it just got more and more busy. And, we like the smallness of Gunnison. We like that we don't have to sit in traffic. We get to spend tons of time outside doing just like so many amazing things, mountain biking and rafting and climbing. And so that's kind of how I came to be here. And then after I was here for a few years, I decided to go back to school for nursing. I actually had a bachelor's degree in fine art.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I did.
What was your medium?
I was a painter.
Amazing.
I liked painting people. Actually, I liked painting portraits. I've always actually loved studying anatomy, which is kind of why I was like excited about studying nursing, part of it anyways.
Oh, sure.
And so there's that part of my life that's sort of in a closet right now because I have 2 kids and a full-time job and no time to do that, but that's okay. I've always thought that like, just because I don't get to create art on a canvas right now doesn't mean that I'm not like creating a really beautiful life for myself.
It's so true.
That's just where I'm putting my creative energy into my kids and my garden and my home and the meals that I make. So,
I mean, we get it. We both have a BFA as well, and kind of same at the moment.
Right? It's hard. There's only so many hours in the day. And creative juices are an interesting thing, right?
Yeah. And you're right. They're just going somewhere different.
Yeah. Anyways, that's like the long history of me. And then, so I went back to school to be a nurse because I spent a few years as a nurse's aide at both the nursing home and the hospital. And I did a couple of like stints helping out in labor and delivery, and I did a couple of deliveries, and I was like, this is it. This is for me. This is what I want. And then after all that, I did some training, I went to nursing school, and I had a baby. My first baby 7 years ago, and he is wonderful and amazing, but he was a terrible breastfeeder. Absolutely awful. And I think it's very interesting and funny that he still tells me that like he doesn't love eating. He tells me, Mom, if I could just take a pill, I would, which is so crazy and bizarre. But because I love to eat. It's like one of my life's great joys.
My son is the same way though. If something,
I know, it's so
If
weird.
something else is happening that's more interesting, if he's in the middle
Yeah.
of pretend or some sort of game, and it's just more interesting,
Yep.
it's just a task.
Yep. It's just a task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
but
that
like,
sounds nice.
I know, right?
I wish I thought it was a chore.
I know, right? I like deeply love it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so it just like, it broke my heart, because I was this like trained nurse and I was like so excited to be a mom. And I was like, obviously we're going to breastfeed and it's going to be beautiful and we're going to snuggle and I'm going to love it. And it was so hard and it hurt. And like, he didn't gain weight the way that he should have. And it was just like crushing for me. And so I went back for another certification. I feel like, let's see, I think I was maybe 2 years into being an OB nurse, and like got my CLC, which is just like a 2-week class, and a test that you take. And I started doing that before COVID a lot with the old lactation consultant that was at the hospital, and a lot of people in the Valley know her, and her name is Valley Funk, and she was the lactation consultant at the Gunnison Hospital for 40 years.
Wow.
I know. Her contributions to this community were amazing. And she
40
helped
years.
so many people here. And like, her family is a well-known family around here. And she does a lot with, Cattlemen's Days and animals. And like, she is at the OG lactation consultant here. And a lot of people still know her because she just retired during COVID. A lot of our, older nurses retired during COVID.
For sure.
And at that point, I was really excited about like, hey, I really want to help you with this. I feel like this is a place where it's really important for women to be supported. And so I consulted with my current boss at the time, and I was like, I want to make this into a more full-time job because she was more of a part-time job. But, I integrate like the lactation piece. So I see women for specific breastfeeding checkups and struggles. And then I also do a support group called Mountain Mamas Cafe. And that takes a decent amount of my time. It's 3 times a week. One here in Gunnison in English on Mondays, one in Gunnison on Wednesdays in Spanish, and then one up in Crested Butte. And that's kind of gone back and forth between Thursdays and Fridays.
And where do you usually meet?
On Mondays and Wednesdays, we meet at the Grove. And then on Fridays, we have been meeting lately at OB Joyful Church or like Rainbow Park because it's lovely outside. And we, so many benefits of just being out in the sunshine.
Perfect time to be at Rainbow Park. Do you guys have a website or social media so we can link it and our listeners can find you?
No.
So if someone was interested in these services, how would they end up signing up?
Well, you don't have to sign up. You just have to show up.
Okay.
You can call the hospital and ask to make an appointment with the lactation consultants. And it's usually me. There's a couple of other people that, like, if I'm not there, they can also see people that are certified lactation consultants if you're struggling with breastfeeding. But then, for the support groups, you just show up at the certain time and days. It's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It is actually linked on the events page of the hospital.
Oh, great.
Mountain Mamas Cafe is what it's called. And there's that. The hospital and my marketing team, we went back and forth on whether we should just keep it as part of the hospital website or have its own website. Sure. And in the end, we decided to keep it as part of the hospital's website because everything I do, I get paid by the hospital. And at the end of the day, all of the appointments go through the hospital. And it's good for integrated care. I like that I have a really close relationship with the doctors in OB. I know a lot about what's happened during your birth, most likely, which is really impactful in your breastfeeding journey. What happens during your labor and your birth really does affect how breastfeeding goes.
Oh, I'm interested in that. We'll dive into that a little later.
Absolutely. So there's that. And then, of course, we do the childbirth class. And usually it's about every other month on Thursday nights, unless people request a special weekend class or something. And I'm happy to meld those to people's lives because I really do feel like that childbirth class and learning what you're in for is so important, you know? And I recognize there are many childbirth classes out there in the world and online. And I feel like the flavor of my childbirth class is how to be a successful parent here in Gunnison, how to
Good.
really root yourself here in this community, because I really do feel like having that community is vital to how successful you feel as a mom.
Oh, that's kind of incredible.
Yeah. And fun fact, that's how I very, very first met you, was in the birthing class.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really great.
I love teaching it.
I found the notes that I had taken and I was laughing at them.
The things that you think are going to be important.
First phase of birth. Second phase. Like I'm going to be able to remember. I don't know. It's cute.
Or
But
you're
anyway.
even going to look.
And I don't,
like
it's
what?
not like I expect you to like show up
No.
at the hospital being like, I'm in my first phase of labor. You know, I know that you're not going to do that.
But we definitely go there thinking we will be.
I know.
We feel like we're like, okay, I can help
know.
you understand where I'm at with this. And,
This
or
is where
like-
I'm at, and I've been tracking it.
I know.
yeah. But I loved it. And it was very, it was you and Charlotte, I think.
Yes. Oh,
Who,
Charlotte. Love
doula who's
Charlotte.
no longer in the valley, but awesome.
She's still doing
And
amazing things in the world.
It was a great it was like my first experience with the hospital, and I thought it was very comforting and like just gave me more confidence that we were in the right place. And we had gotten our tour, I think Shauna, I want to say, shout out. Got our
Shauna's
tour
amazing.
and then had the class, and we was like, okay, it's just such a veil lifted when you can like meet the actual people that are going to be helping you, and especially like you're saying, tailor some of the class to like the experience that these moms are going to have here. So highly recommend if you are in that position. Yeah.
I think you were one of my labor nurses.
Oh, good.
You probably were. I think you were, like in the earlier. And then you were my lifesaver on Tuesday morning when I woke up and I was like, I can't even get her to latch.
My boobs.
I don't know. No, we haven't released Titty Time, or we just released Titty Time, but you
Yeah.
were mentioned a few times.
Yes, because you just changed our lives so much, you know.
It's gonna make me cry. Being an OB nurse is a really like overwhelming sometimes job, and there's such a huge need for OB nurses in the world that like it's really hard to find time to do something like teaching a childbirth class. And I think that some hospitals support it and some don't. Everything depends on your leadership in the moment, you know. And I've been really lucky with how supportive my hospital has been of like the support of the women in the Gunnison Valley. So yeah, we should do a plug for Charlotte at some point, maybe.
I know. I was going to ask, what is Charlotte's last name, please?
Charlotte Brielle. She owns a company called Wombs of the World. And
she was the owner.
She is the
Badass.
owner. I know. She is badass. She has an Instagram, but
I'll find her.
Not like in my
We'll
brain.
find it and
Yeah.
link it.
Good.
We'll find it and link it.
As long as that's legit her name.
Interesting.
It is her name.
Then I got it. I can find it.
She goes all over the world and like takes doulas on these amazing trips to experience indigenous midwifery and
Wow.
like just what labor and birth is like in a couple different places in Mexico, Ecuador, Tanzania. I think that's it right now. And it's just a totally different experience depending on where you go, like what exactly you get to do, but you just get to like spend time learning about how other cultures view birth and how like ceremonies integrate into their care of women.
That
and
is so neat.
It's lovely. And I think that she's amazing and I love stalking her on Instagram.
We even touched on like anthropology and cultures that have ceremonies that basically introduce women into this phase of matrescence. This episode, I believe, comes after we release the Louise Perry episode. So if you're drawing any connections there, so that must be so interesting.
I love it. Like I'm a huge birth nerd and I love learning about how other people do it in other cultures. And I love like ceremonies that they bring into that space for women. And I think it's definitely something that we lack here in the United States. Some people, I think, do an okay job with it. You know, there are subcultures in America that like we don't always think about, but you know, there's all kinds of religions and there's all kinds of like communities, and some people do an okay job of it. But as a whole, I feel like we have become so busy that we don't integrate ceremony into our lives anymore, and I think you miss something with that. You know, like. We've done ceremonies for so long, you know, and I just think our souls benefit from it. and we feel like we walk into motherhood, I think, better when we intentionally do it, set some intentions, So it's never going to be what you think it's going to be. Like, there's no way to predict it. There is just no way. And I love talking about that in my childbirth class when people are like, oh, I would never do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
until you get there.
Yay.
Almost every
Just
single one
like
of
we
those
were
things I
talking
am
about at the
doing.
beginning here, where we're like, well, our kids won't do screens.
Exactly.
They don't use I would never.
Yeah, I know.
never is
You
such a
shouldn't
strong
say I would
word.
never. Don't judge, because if you've never been there, don't judge.
Yeah, and don't
Yeah.
put that out in the universe, because you most certainly will then.
I know,
Right.
exactly.
That's true.
So going along those, is there any advice for moms that are expecting that you want to give them in terms of like breastfeeding, maybe misconceptions that they should let go of, any things they can do to prepare for it?
I mean, ask for help is like the biggest one, because pretty much everybody needs help. And
Yeah.
check your expectations, because you're going to have some. There's no avoiding that, but you should be aware of what they are. And there are 10 billion, different experiences that are in the world. Like, everyone's experience of feeding is different. Whether you're formula feeding or pumping and bottle feeding or breastfeeding, it's all so varied. And if it doesn't turn out to be what you wanted it to, it doesn't mean that it's not still a beautiful thing that you get to do for your baby.
Give yourself some grace.
Give yourself some grace.
Right?
What would you recommend to a mom who's pregnant, not yet had her child, to find out what her expectations are? Because if I had been asked that beforehand, I would have been like, oh, I have none. It can go however. But they absolutely still
They
existed
exist.
inside of me.
You just assume things.
And I felt like a failure because of them after. And so I'm curious, like, how a mom still pregnant would prompt herself to think about what her expectations are.
I mean, honestly, I encourage you to go find your local feeding specialist, like an IBCLC or a CLC, and just talk to them about your boobs.
Yeah.
Talk to them about your health, because it matters. Like, if you
Yeah.
have PCOS, this will affect your breastfeeding, and whether you're able to at all or a little bit, I mean, is probably going to be affected by PCOS. If you've had a breast augmentation, that matters. It will change your breastfeeding. There's a lot of things that can affect your breastfeeding that we don't necessarily think about. Our culture, we don't walk around our town and see just dozens of women breastfeeding. It's just
Yeah.
not a thing that happens anymore,
Yeah.
And so we don't know what we don't know. I think it's good to have a consultation before you have a baby and just talk about your health, your body experiences, what your nipples look like, because there are just so many different nipples. There are crazy nipples. There's innie nipples and there's outie nipples, and sometimes there's both on one body. And
Oh, man.
yeah.
Different things.
Yeah.
And so I think that you should ask questions and find a feeding specialist that you vibe with, because
before you've
there's so many.
birthed.
I mean, at least one consultation I think would really put a lot of people's minds at ease.
I would have found that so helpful.
Yeah. And if you are in a town where you don't have someone like that, find them on the internet, because there's tons of them. Like, there are so many people that want to help women breastfeed. There are some legitimate people on the internet that are good at it. I don't have any suggestions for you right now, but I know, I have suggested some to other people before, and I could probably find them on a list. But
And also, I feel like the quality of things offered on the internet has changed since 2020.
yeah.
It's like you really can get good consulting.
Totally. And I vary my practice here in this town because I enjoy doing a few different things. But there are people that just want to help you breastfeed. Like, that is their shtick, and maybe that's the person you need to find. So we live in a very varied world with many, many resources, and you can probably find what you're looking for out there. Don't let them sell you a bunch of stuff, because usually people love to bank on the fact that moms want the very best for their children. So if they're just trying to sell you a bunch of stuff, then I would veer away from that person.
We talked about that too in Titty Time, because
I feel like
my supply took a tank, and so I ended up on that train of like the teas and the cookies and
is there anything that can really affect your supply?
Yes.
Yeah.
The demand. The demand equals the supply. And that's really the only thing that has been studied to work. And also, like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll make more, but because, maybe you have PCOS and maybe your body just can't, or maybe you've had a breast augmentation and maybe your body just can't, because like the way that they augment a breast, when you have a breast augmentation, it can cut nerves and block ducts. Some people aren't physically able to do it. So
okay.
yes, if your body is like capable of making more milk, you need to probably remove more milk somehow if you are not making enough. And you really need a consult to figure that out. So really at the end of the day, I would say ask for advice. Like go talk to someone about what your rhythm has been, and then they can talk to you about like, is this you're overly worried about nothing situation?
Yeah.
Because it could be. A lot of people are.
Especially in breastfeeding.
Yeah, totally. Because you can't see how much your baby's getting.
And you've never done it before.
And you've never done it before if this is your first baby. Now, if you have like weight gain issues, that's kind of what am I going to bank, like the whole, am I having supply issues or not? And if you're having weight gain issues with your baby, like because a baby needs to like steadily gain weight, at different rates at different ages. But then you have to talk about, is it a baby being snoozy at the boob, or is it your boob's really not making enough? It's hard to know, and the fix to those are different, right? Like maybe your sleepy baby can be woken up, and we can help encourage baby to like stay awake at the breast for long enough. And if we really can't do that, then can you pump for a little while until your baby like gets a little bit bigger, a little bit fatter, and a little bit more awake at the boob to like help finish off. And that's usually like a first 2 to 3 weeks thing. And then if your boobs are truly not making enough, then we can talk about why that might be. And could be a, sleepy baby thing. Like if your baby is not emptying you enough, at some point, if it's leaving a lot of milk in your boob at every feed, your milk is going to start to dry up, right? Because our milk comes in, and it doesn't just like sit there until something drains it out. Like if it doesn't get drained pretty quickly, like within a day or two, it starts to like evaporate, basically. Like it just dries up and goes away.
Metabolized in your body.
Yeah, it gets remetabolized in your body.
But if you can tell that they're gaining enough weight, if they fall asleep at the boob, then it's okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. There's like a lot of varying advice about letting your baby fall asleep while breastfeeding. And some people are like, never do it. But I don't know. I think it's fine.
You
I
can
don't
tell,
like the word never.
and you can tell they're healthy.
Yeah.
And it's
and they're
going
gaining
okay.
weight. I think it's fine. A lot of people breastfeed their babies to sleep like at night or at nap time. And it's a lovely expence. It's
Yeah, I was
totally
going to
fine.
say my son was a sea-level baby and breastfed himself to sleep and was 90% tile. Like,
Totally fine and awesome. And for a lot of people, that's like their favorite breastfeeding sesh is the one right at bedtime.
Yeah.
It's like good snuggles.
and it's so they're so sweet when they fall asleep that way.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Like so satisfied.
Yep.
And you actually tried to show me like side lying to breastfeed, and that didn't work out for me. And I don't know the size. And
What
like,
is that? What did you? What?
You just lay
You lay
down
next to
them, and they breastfeed while you're laying down.
Oh, I did that. I did that with
That's like it was the best, most easy thing when she was big enough and strong enough to do it.
Yeah.
And when I knew how to maneuver my things.
Your boobs. You really got to get to know your boobs while you're breastfeeding.
really do.
And
Which we did talk a lot about, especially your boobs in titty time.
We're gonna have to talk about them again.
But truly, like the idea that my boobs are a certain size, so it's gonna go fine.
So
You
funny.
know? Yeah.
that expectation.
I mean, that's a weird expectation because some of the people that I've known that have had like oversupply issues have the smallest boobs. They have like A cups,
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
They did very well.
yeah, it's
They,
usually
honestly, though, of the three of us,
of
did
you.
do very well.
Very well.
Yeah. Didn't do as well. Did good. So
It was
Yeah.
probably the one time we actually always saw a woman breastfeeding was at the Arts Center all through the
Yes.
spring and summer of 2021.
Yes. Through
good.
meetings, through ticket sales, through it all.
I did whatever I had to do.
I love that. And so, yeah, breast size does not correlate to how much milk you're going to have. Like, don't correlate those two things.
not correlated.
I mean, it really
Doesn't
doesn't
correlate.
matter. Like,
Yeah.
like it changes how comfortable you're going to be in certain positions, but every human body is different. You guys, like, women have to figure out how they're comfortable, because you're going to be breastfeeding. It's going to take a lot of hours of your life. So you need to find like a comfortable, healthy body position for you to do it, and one that like doesn't hurt. You know, sometimes the latch can be really affected by like how you place your baby on you or beside you or laying next to you, you know. And if you are having like latch issues, that's going to be one of the things that we talk about is like, can we find a different way for the baby to be so that their mouth is in a different position and it feels better, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
That really affected my anxiety and depression after having her because before I saw you, it was like even at the hospital when she was cluster feeding, it hurt so badly.
That was such
and then
a
you gave me
surprise.
such a huge solution, and it takes time, right, to adjust. And then once it started kicking in, I was like, "Oh my god, thank God!"
It's like the
was
inner
such a
burn
relief.
plus the chap on your nipple.
Yeah, your nipples have never seen so much action. I
And
can
why
pretty
does
much
it-
promise you, like even strippers.
And why does I'm so curious. Why does it burn?
Well, I mean,
Inside the
your
breast
nipples have
skin.
never seen that much action. Like, and the
But you know
baby's
the burn
mouth
from like the depths. Not just your nipple, but like
inside your
whole-
boob.
yeah.
I mean,
It like recalls back.
Yes.
I think some people like there's a nerve, you know, that
Okay.
can be irritated.
Yeah.
I should probably like look back in a textbook somewhere, but you know, like a lot of people do report that it does burn sometimes.
Just in the beginning.
Every human body is different.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there is like a medical explanation somewhere out there. I'll look it up for you.
Thank
I'm
you.
sure, because I do have a decent number of like breastfeeding textbooks. There are literally textbooks on how to breastfeed and issues you can have during breastfeeding. So
Yeah.
if you think that breastfeeding is like not complicated and totally easy, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm also saying there are many experiences in the world. So we can look
I love
that
the
up.
idea so much of having a consult before you birth.
Yeah,
huge.
I do think it is. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing home visits for people and like helping them set up their space to breastfeed too. And
Yeah, we talked about the home visits. Did each of you have a home visit?
I did not. I
But you
had
did?
a visit with you once, and it was life changing.
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't have to
then
be
I
at your
was
home.
good.
Like
Yeah.
if it sounds beneficial to you, I enjoy doing it. I think because I can help you set up your places that you're going to breastfeed to be more comfortable. And if you're struggling with like how to do side lying comfortably and how to make it work for you, then I can probably do that for you.
With like the pillows that exist at your home.
Yeah, totally. And like we can talk about like where in your home is best for you to do it, like what's going to work best for you and your family. So I enjoy doing it. But it doesn't, I mean, people can figure that out too. Like there are people out there in the world that do not need help with breastfeeding. Their baby just pops out and gets on the tit and it's like just fine. Like it does happen sometimes. But they also keep me busy. And a lot of babies, like a lot of moms and babies need help.
Yeah, I think so too.
And don't get tied to your boppy or like any specific pillow because I remember you
Yeah.
came over when you did
Yeah.
a home visit because Minna did not gain weight at the rate expected and we were worried about the latch and stuff. You like utilized every pillow and every cushion even on the couch. Like we were trying to figure out how to get. I had like a cheap. She's new now, but like I had a cheaper IKEA couch at the time that has like no extra anything. Like I'm not laying back. So you like helped me position her in football like way easier. And that helped. And then, yeah. So anyway, all the pillows are available.
Yeah,
not just
I had
Boppy.
to do that too. Like every
Use
pillow
all the
in my-
pillows. Use
Yeah.
all the tools in your tool
like the
bag.
couch
Yeah.
pillows are bigger.
Yeah,
And the bedroom
sometimes more
pillows-
stiff, and you need that.
A whole
Yeah.
bunch of different pillows.
There's so many
Sometimes
tools.
you just need an elbow rest. Like,
I mean, I really like chairs with armrests for when you're
Agreed.
breastfeeding, so that they can hold some of the weight of that baby. Because if you're constantly holding the weight of that baby, I know it's not very much,
No, it's
but your
tiring.
trunk is
I
gonna
was so
get so
sore.
sore. Yeah. And I mean,
It's kind of
it's
surprising
just
how
different.
tiring.
It's different muscles that you're using, and schedule yourself a massage. While you're still pregnant, maybe like 3 to 4 weeks out, depending on your physiology and how you and your baby are doing. And you can reschedule it, obviously. If you need to like push it back a couple weeks, but your shoulders are going to be sore, your back is going to be sore. Like, you're going to enjoy that massage. So I strongly recommend it.
I didn't do a massage before having her, but after having Avery, after breastfeeding for a little while, And like you said, it was the tightness up in my shoulders. I think it's still there. But it was like
How old is your Avery now?
She's 4. I need to go for another massage.
Yeah, but you probably pick her up every once in a while.
I know.
still.
I will also admit that I haven't had a massage since that one.
Girl.
So there's that too.
Where are we going for massage?
I know. Does anybody have any advice?
I do.
But
Spa-la-la.
it was so
okay.
huge because that was all they talked about. And they're like, and that comes from breastfeeding. And I was just like, oh.
I
Like,
really
it's
never
things you
thought
don't
about
think
that you're using your body
how you're
differently than
carrying
you
them.
have ever.
Half of my pain was like upper scapula,
Yes.
like that,
Yeah.
like all weirdness. Stuff got tangled in
Pulls
there.
everything down.
And then learning how to hold them all the time. And
And you're
carrying
spending the
them
whole
in
session making
carriers.
sure they're comfortable, and you have no idea the impact on your own
But you shouldn't.
body.
You should spend the time making sure you are comfortable, and then you bring
Yeah.
them to you. That's always what I say.
yes.
Stop bringing yourself to the baby. Bring the baby to you
I love
after you
that
are
so
comfortable.
much.
Yeah. Because I see people in the hospital, especially when they're first doing it, they're just like in these horrible positions. And I'm like, are you going to sit like that for the next hour? I don't think so.
Exactly.
Let's get you comfortable, and then we'll bring baby where baby needs to be, because that's
like that
much
so
easier. You know, you use all of your resources. Like, pillows are abundant in the hospital. And
that has to
most people
matter.
have lots of pillows.
Like the comfort of you has to matter for your supply as well.
It does. If you are like crying every time you have to breastfeed because it's painful in some part of your body, you're not going to want to do it.
Yeah.
You're going to avoid it, you know, and that's not.
100%, yes.
Pumping. I hated pumping.
I did
But it
okay
is
with
important.
pumping.
Pumping.
Right?
I mean,
I don't know.
It can be. It is. Everyone that plans to breastfeed, I strongly recommend you get a pump. Insurances all have to get a pump for you or reimburse you for a pump. Some insurances are very specific about which pumps they will reimburse for. Medicaid actually is really great, and a lot of durable medical equipment companies now will just bill Medicaid, and you never see a bill for like a really nice
I
pump.
did not know that and paid for it myself.
A lot of people do.
Yeah.
And insurance is so painful to work with. I in so many realms, I feel that in my body.
But you don't want to miss the things that you actually do
You
get.
should. I know. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
they even
should
send
take advantage of
bags
that.
with it,
Like, you're
like-
paying for insurance probably. So
Yeah.
you get a lot of things through your insurance if you just make sure that you get them. You know, like you've got to call them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have a preferred pump?
I don't know that I necessarily have a preferred pump. I do think that Medellas are pretty reliable. Hospitals mostly have Medela contracts, so we have these hospital grade pumps called Symphony pumps. Way overkill for like an individual person, but they are multiple patient use style pumps. But Medela does sell like smaller pumps, and in general, I have not had an issue with them, and they have pretty good customer service too. So if something breaks, they're like ready to help you troubleshoot it. And it's not because I think you're going to pump all the time necessarily if you plan to breastfeed, and like especially like a stay-at-home mom. If you plan to mostly just breastfeed, the thing about having a pump is probably sometime during your breastfeeding journey, you're going to need to pump because you are engorged, or suddenly you are super full and your baby is totally asleep and will not breastfeed, or your baby's going to have a weird day and they're only going to breastfeed on the right side. Well, you can't just let your left boob explode.
Yeah.
You know, like it's got to go. You got to get it out. Otherwise, it's going to hurt
There's
a lot.
no feeling quite like it.
It's awful.
Yeah.
And so having a pump to help with that is really, really important. And then also there are extenuating circumstances as far as like, I suggest you get a pump before you have a baby, because you never know what's going to happen, like right at that delivery. Like, are you going to be separated from your baby at all? You know, is there a NICU stay that's going to be involved? You really can't predict that. Even if you have a 100% healthy pregnancy, sometimes things happen and you get separated from your baby due to medical stuff. And on either side, you know, like, stuff happens to moms and stuff happens to babies, but you need to get that milk out to send your brain the right message to like, okay, it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. You can't just not get any milk or colostrum out for 2 or 3 days, say, if your baby was like really in the NICU, and then expect it to just show up, because chances are that it won't. Unless you're like 19 or 20, in which case it's just like magic milk. It shows up. It's abundant. You don't have to do anything special, but
Be careful about having children at 19 or 20.
I mean, are we ready financially and emotionally? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
but,
but physically, yes.
But our bodies think that we are.
Yeah.
And it oftentimes can go more smoothly when you're younger, like in your early 20s and even late teens, depending on your baseline level of health. But, it's only in the last like 100-ish years that we've started to be able to control when we have babies and like make it later and later so that we're emotionally ready, like ready with the right partner, and we get to decide like when we're ready, usually. And I think biology just hasn't quite caught up, unfortunately, it really is true that like the older you are, the higher instance of complications there are. Yeah. And often if you are much older, like past 35, chances you're going to have some supply issues are higher, and you might need to help your supply come in more strongly by pumping a couple times a day. If you're having weight gain and breastfeeding issues in that realm, oftentimes your body needs a little bit of extra encouragement to build that supply appropriately.
What are some complications you can expect with breastfeeding, like clogged ducts, those kinds of things?
That one was a surprise to me.
Yep. That's one
I thought I had the flu.
I mean, where to start with the complications for breastfeeding? There's so many. Like, I made a job out of it. I mean, from the beginning, like, you can have a baby that's just so sleepy it will not latch. And, is that a sleepy baby issue? Is it because you have inverted nipples? I don't know. You have to have someone look at that dyad and see what's going on. There's a shallow latch, which can cause pain and damage of your nipple skin.
Oh, did that happen to you?
It's happened to a lot of people,
Ouch, you said.
Well, that's why we use the shield.
Yeah, a lot of people use a nipple shield for multiple reasons. Nipple shield is a great tool to have in your tool bag.
Yeah.
Let's see what else. There's blebs, which is kind of like a blister. It looks like a teeny tiny blister on your nipple, but it's really just a piece of skin that has grown over like one of your ducts, and it is so small. It's like the size of the head of a pin. You would think it wouldn't hurt, but actually it burns like fire.
Yeah, that
and it's
sounds
awful. I had
awful.
a couple when I was breastfeeding my son, and it usually has something to do with the latch. Like there's probably like a tongue rubbing where it shouldn't be rubbing or something like that. But there's that. There's clogged ducts, and the interesting thing about clogged ducts is that the most recent guidelines from the American Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine is to not rub them. In the past, people are like, well, if you got a clogged duct, you've got to rub that out. But actually, you don't know, because we don't have x-ray vision, whether it's actually like, congealed milk in a duct or if it's tissue that's inflamed. And if it's tissue that's inflamed and you're just sitting there, you're going to make an abscess, and it's like a surgical problem then. Like you have to have it surgically drained. So if you have a clogged duct, keep your hands off of it, put some ice on it, take ibuprofen, and pump and breastfeed as usual. And like it's either going to pass on its own, or that duct is going to just dry up that milk and it'll go away. So
the clogged duct for me was the funniest thing, because it wasn't funny. I was very ill, but I woke up in the middle of the night. Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night to check on Evan, and I thought it was freezing because I had a fever. So I put all these blankets on the baby, and then my husband wakes up the next morning and was like, "Why is he sweating?" And I was like, "'Cause it's freezing in here." And he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, wait,
maybe not."
Okay.
It's wild, like how different your brain changes from going from like only paying attention really to yourself and maybe a little bit your partner, to then like your whole brain is obsessed with keeping this tiny human alive, and you're like, wait a second. Did I brush my teeth today?
Oh, yeah.
That's there like some spit in my hair? I don't know.
You completely and totally forget about yourself.
You do.
Even when you were like, no, you make yourself comfortable and bring the baby to you.
It's not natural.
You're thinking, well, no, the baby needs to be comfortable first.
Like, I'll do whatever. I could sit like this for an hour.
Look, and I'm not saying that like you have to be like a super self-obsessed, selfish person.
No.
I'm saying that like when you take care of yourself, you are more able to pour into your child. You know, like because you can't pour from an empty vessel. Like you have to be able to like smile and be happy and have kindness in your heart. And if you're just in pain and you're miserable, like, you know.
Does that also affect your supply?
It can. It
Yeah.
can. You know, like oxytocin is a hormone that's really important for milk like flow, and the oxytocin is like your love hormone, your happy hormone, you know. And if you don't have that, you might have some issues with like a good supply. And then, you know, cortisol and oxytocin in your body, they fight. If you have so much cortisol, the stress hormone, your oxytocin is going to struggle to also like flow well in your body. It's the same reason that in labor and delivery, we talk a lot about you have to figure out a way to feel calm, and the more your partner or your doula or your mom or whoever is with you can like just touch you and like massage your foot or hold your hand or scratch your back or whatever makes you feel good. Because human touch produces a lot of oxytocin in the body, and you need oxytocin for the contractions to happen, you know? And so that's why
so
we try to encourage you to like touch your partner, like hold his hand, you know, or her hand, whatever. Or, you know, let your doula like hold your feet or just like scratch your head or whatever, because the human touch creates like explosions of oxytocin in the body. And so, and, you know, Ina May Gaskin was this midwife back, well, she's still a midwife, but back in the 60s and 70s that really revived this whole like idea of, well, birthing outside of hospitals. But she talks a lot in her books about kiss your partner, make out, go have sex. It will help your labor and delivery like get going.
So you're saying don't lay on the couch alone, yell at your partner to leave you alone, and keep watching Disney movies?
Don't punch them if they touch you.
If that's what you feel you need to do. I'm not saying that there's not a wrong way to do it, but like there is an easier way to do it probably. There's a nicer way to do it. Like,
I want that to be the title of the episode, if that's what you need to do.
I sat, the first thing I did was like, I'm going to take a bath. And then I was like, Tyler, go to the store. Could you go buy me some chocolate? I just sat in a bath eating chocolate.
Oh, yeah, you did. That was a solid choice.
So I was like, they're not telling me not to eat yet, so I'm going to roll with it.
Yeah.
It was great. I just was like, anything that's going to make me happy right now.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does that answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Can we go back to mastitis?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So mastitis is a big one. It happens to a lot of women, but not everyone gets it. There are ways that you can be more prone to getting it. If you are prone to getting clogged ducts, your chances of mastitis are significantly higher.
How do you know if you're prone?
To getting clogged ducts or to getting mastitis?
To get, both.
I mean, because you get them.
So you just know after it happens.
Yeah, unfortunately. Like if you have an oversupply, you are more prone to get clogged ducts.
Yeah,
Therefore,
I feel
you
like
might
that's what happened
also
to me
get-
in the beginning.
Totally. Happens to a lot of people. Let me finish this thought and then I'll go back to a couple other things. But so mastitis is like you wake up and it's a systemic reaction to like an infection, and your whole body usually feels like the flu came on really fast. And I'm not saying you have to run to the emergency room, but like call your doctor's office first thing in the morning if it happens at night. Call your doctor's office if it's daytime, and they'll like call in a prescription for antibiotics for you. Not 100% of the time. Sometimes they want to see you because it's like a vague thing that you're describing and they want to make sure it's mastitis before they assign you antibiotics, but it's usually pretty easy to spot, and the symptoms are how can I describe them, like very
clear?
universal. Yeah, and they're clear. You'll feel it. Sometimes your clog can get red and hot in that area. Your skin can get like red and hot. So yeah, and then and you can have a fever sometimes. Yeah. Yep. And then in the first week of breastfeeding, it's not just the fact that you have tons of milk. It's also an inflammatory process. So your tissue is just a little bit swollen. So during that like first
birthing?
week or two. No, having your milk come in, the process of like milk coming in after your placenta leaves your body, it creates this cascade of hormones that makes your milk come in, right? And that is an inflammatory process in itself, and therefore like your breasts are a little bit swollen that first like week-ish. So if you're like at home and you're like, oh man, my baby is never emptying me, like, okay, throw the pump on like once or twice to make sure that that's the case, maybe, but don't fret, because some of it is just tissue swelling.
So we did have on here, we wanted to ask about the difference between breast milk and formula.
Okay, so breast milk has benefits and formula has benefits. And the benefits of breast milk are that, your body is creating antibodies to help fight all the stuff that, is floating around in the world that your baby might be experiencing, and can help fight that. And that's super cool and super nice. And it has some specific stuff in it that also helps them to not get gut infections, because their gut can get infections sometimes. And then, also for a decent amount of people, breastfeeding, the experience of it is a bonding experience, especially if it's going well. On the flip side of that, when breastfeeding isn't going well and there's complications that like you end up not being able to resolve, it can feel bad. And I always like to say that a mom's mental health is always more important than breastfeeding. And for those moms that just can never reconcile with breastfeeding, formula can be an amazing option. And tons of kids, including myself, like I was raised on formula because I was an 80s baby. And in the 80s, doctors would tell moms, you should schedule your C-section because that's the best. Mm-hmm. And also, why would you breastfeed when there's formula? But no, like I said, mom's mental health, 100% always more important than breastfeeding, and formula can be an amazing thing. And obviously, it creates amazing humans.
Obviously. Very
Obviously.
And there's like different safety guidelines too, like as far as similarities and differences go. Formula does its best to like mimic some things with breast milk, but it's just different. And the ingredients in breast milk, honestly, and formula are there's so many that I could never memorize them all. But it is different. Like the safety guidelines, you really have to read the container. You really can't let it sit out on the table for more than an hour, because with breast milk, if it's freshly pumped, you can let it sit out for 4 to 6 hours, according to the CDC.
Wow.
Which is nice. And then, formula, you can make a big batch of it and put it in your refrigerator and then like pour out of it for the 24 hours, because I want to say it's 24 hours in the fridge. Check your label on
It's
the
not hard
formula
though to
container.
make your own serving when it comes to.
You can,
Yeah.
And there are now like these fancy machines that you can put on your.
It's not Nescafe.
No, it's like Brezza's or something.
It's like an espresso machine where you just like beep, and
Push
it like
the
heats the
button.
water
You're
up,
kidding.
mixes it up.
No, there's a formula machine that you can buy that like you put the water in the back.
kidding me.
It's like a coffee machine. It
is like a coffee machine.
You put the water in the back and the formula in the
That's
front, and then
wild.
you push like how much you want, and it mixes it and warms it for you.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
gonna need formula, like I don't know, I love technology and I think we should utilize it. Just
Yeah.
like people that need to go back to work, just in the like 80s and 90s, pumps looked ridiculous. Like there were these like glass bulb situations, and like you
Even
had to
we
do a
had,
lot
like,
of
a-
squeezing,
Yeah,
and
it
like
was,
no
like, the
wonder no one
manual.
did that. That
We
looks
had like
awful.
a 10-year difference, and how I had to pump at work versus how they had to pump at work was so different.
Wild. And
Had the, like, wild,
Those new ones that like cup your boob and you can barely tell they're there, that was not around.
I mean, barely tell. Like you
you could definitely tell.
you feel like exactly. Exactly. Like, you can tell.
Yeah.
But like I do think that there is a shift in culture. And even back when I was first starting to pup with my 7-year-old 7-ish years ago, I definitely always went to the office that we had that was set up for pumping. But now, like, with those in the shirt ones, nurses pump at the nurses station.
Yeah.
And I just think it's great, actually. And I've always said in my childbirth class, like, if I'm at a restaurant and you come to my table and wait on me while you're pumping, I will give you $100. Like,
Seriously.
you know, like, you gotta live your life, you
Yeah.
know, and you can't let breastfeeding like stop everything.
I was
unless
the
you
hide in the
want
closet
to.
era. I was hiding in a closet
Totally,
of the
or
bank.
a bathroom. Like, people hide in the weirdest places. And
Mine
when
was
I was,
it was the only one with a lock. Mine was a closet.
yeah. Yeah. And so I mean, thank goodness for all the women in, you know, our recent past that have advocated for us to have better things. Like, I love my mom, but like, you know, product of like having a baby in the 80s. She was just totally surprised, I think, when I told her that my goal was to get to a year. And she was just like, what do you mean? 3
so
weeks is
interesting.
enough. And I'm like, well, it's not the goal anymore, Mom.
No,
like,
it's not. Actually, 12 months is the goal.
Actually,
That
24 months is the goal.
All right.
Yeah, we've increased it. I mean, there was a lot of pushback on the American Academy of Pediatrics, I think, when they came out and said like 2 years is the, like, you should try to do 2 years, because that didn't come with like a let's extend your maternity leave. It was just like
Of
a do
course it
better.
didn't.
I should have kept on going.
I
I
mean,
totally could have.
If you wanted to, I think
you
that
can always
like
go a long time.
you know, breastfeeding looks different after you introduce food. Breastfeeding looks different in so many ways, right? Like newborn breastfeeding versus like a 5-month-old breastfeeding versus a 12-month-old breastfeeding. And then it's like, after that, it's sort of when you want it to happen.
Yeah.
It's when you want it to happen.
There's
you know,
a lot
like,
of have-tos before
Yeah.
the want to.
Right. And then once you get there, it should be the mother's choice when she wants to breastfeed.
I agree.
Do it at bedtime when you love that snuggle session and breastfeeding session, or at nap time. You know, some moms are more comfortable letting their kids like nurse on demand, but at least for me, when I was ready to stop, it was when my kid was like forcibly taking off my shirt in public. I was like, no, I am uncomfortable. Like, this is like a weird situation that I'm feeling here. Like, this is my body and you'll respect my boundaries. And I
Yeah.
think that's okay. Like, you should make it feel good for you.
So we were just talking about kind of the importance of like your experience with your mom covering you up and things like that, like the importance of family support and how that can change your breastfeeding journey, maybe even like how partners.
I have no desire to like villainize our grandparents and the boomer grandparents and Gen Xers, because sometimes it's just an education thing. You just need to tell them what your goals are and like why you're doing it. And I did. I told my mom all those things, and then she was supportive.
And then we're only so educated now. In
Exactly.
20 years, our kids are gonna.
They're
going to
be
"Why do you
different.
think
Why
that
would
way?"
you do that?
Yeah.
What if it shifts again?
But I feel like our kids specifically are going to have the same moments with us.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
I'm
we all
sure.
have the
In
things
some
to
way.
learn. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like what you said earlier today, you know, with the things that we worry about, like, oh, they're going to look back and they're going to be so disappointed that I blah, 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 but then
Yeah.
it's going to be something totally different, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Something totally different.
Do you feel like, I mean, it's probably really important to have your partner on board with breastfeeding, or?
to be successful breastfeeding, the most important aspect is a supportive partner of some sort. It doesn't necessarily have to be a husband or a wife. It can be your doula or your mom. You know, I never know what people are coming into motherhood like, but having a supportive partner is the most indicative aspect of successful breastfeeding. Because if the person who's your support is telling you over and over again, like, aren't you done with that already?
Yeah.
You probably are going to be done
Like,
with
hurry
that.
up. Why is this taking this long?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't
Or like,
understand.
do you want to? Aren't you done? Like, can we just not? You know, like that's gonna feel bad, and then you're gonna be like, well, if they don't support it, I'm pretty tired, so whatever. You
Right. As opposed to someone in your corner being
know, who's
like, "You're
just
doing
like, you're
great.
doing such a good
you
job.
can do it.
Like,
yeah.
how can I help you? Like, do you have some water?
Massaging your back.
Can I do the dishes?
some
you know,
water.
like
Water, please.
yeah. So
Refill that water
Yes,
bottle.
having a supportive partner is really pivotal in the experience of breastfeeding. That said, sometimes like having a good partnership can be really important in raising a child too. So again, you know, like what's important to you being a good parent? Something you have to consider. Everyone's story of building a family is different. So.
If you don't have, like, I know some moms are single moms, what are some resources for them to find that support in the community?
I mean, find a doula. Medicaid reimburses certified doulas now.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I could just imagine like a doula coming over postpartum and like actually giving your partner a template to work off of.
Sure.
Because
Oh, that would be huge.
Seriously.
you can say like, I need my water refilled and I need food. And it'd be great if you could give me a massage. Like you can list all those things, but that kind of sucks too. And like, they're not brought up in a society that is like teaching them how to care delicately for people necessarily. And a lot of them are very great and sensitive and like can care for people, but having a doula like show
Who just
them.
knows it.
And why it's
Yeah.
important.
And then they can
Yeah.
leave and there's a little bit more hope that they can feel
a
more
lot.
secure in it.
Absolutely. Yes. And how do we actually learn things? It's by watching. It's by watching.
That's so true.
And
And you and your partner don't know what you're doing.
you don't.
Neither of you have done it before.
Yeah.
So yes, a doula can help show what it's like to take care of a new mom, because when your baby's born, the mom is born too.
Yeah. Oh. But yeah.
Yeah. You're a totally different person.
Yeah.
And you just can't be the same as you were, and you need help. And
Yes.
for single moms, there's doulas, there's like meal services, you should hire a housekeeper, like hire all the help.
100%.
If
Yes.
you can, that would be my strong recommendation. Find as much help as you possibly can. You're at your baby shower, you really don't need 25,000 onesies. You need help. You need
Yeah.
people to help you. Like if you want to
Or
make
just a
yourself
fund.
you can have a fund that people can donate to for that, or you can have a sign up list of like, hey, who wants to come clean my bathroom after I'm 1 week postpartum?
Yeah.
Who wants to come
yeah,
and
that's
cook?
such a great
And then of
idea.
course
Meals, yeah.
meals,
Meal
like signing
train
up for
helped
meal
me
trains. Thank you. That was
so
what I was looking
much.
for.
So much.
We will
But
link
yeah.
you to Meal Train because do it for
It
your
is
friends.
the best.
Yes.
It is the best gift you can give someone.
We
I
meal
got-
train each other all the time, and it's
Good.
so helpful.
I know. It's what you need. We got Blue Apron and had people donate to that account, and I loved it.
So
my
good.
husband didn't have to go grocery shopping. It was very precise instructions. It was perfect.
Exactly.
That's smart. That's really
I
smart.
just have to literally follow instructions.
Lovely. Yeah. And they were good. I liked Blue Apron.
Yeah, I remember that.
But there's
Oh,
lots of different
back in
meal
the day.
services.
And then go to Mountain Mamas.
It's
seriously though.
good. It's good to hear other people's experience, and there's also Mom Co, which used to be MOPS, and some people really love going to like a service that's faith based. Mountain Mamas is not faith based. It's just a bunch of moms getting together talking about breastfeeding and self care and
Which
what
is
they're
important
struggling
to know
with.
too if moms are looking for something that isn't. That this one is faith free, and what was the other one?
Mom Co
Mom Co.
is what it's called now. It used to be called MOPS. Most people know it as MOPS, but they've rebranded and they call it Mom Co now. And people really love Mom Co and MOPS. There is a strong community of people who go there, and I think they find a lot of support, and I think that's great too.
And community.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a moment in your career that you really feel strongly about sharing, or anything that you feel like the village really came through for you?
My hospital is a very small hospital. And when I had my son, I did have a lot of complications. And I ended up being on bed rest for like 3-ish months.
Oh my
and I ended
goodness.
up having to move to Grand Junction because they wanted me to be near a NICU, which means, and at the time I had 2 giant dogs and chickens, and I had to give the chickens to one friend. I gave one dog to another friend and another dog to another friend. Like animals just were everywhere.
Aww.
And we had to, thankfully I had an uncle that lived in Grand Junction, and I went and stayed with him, and we were in and out of the hospital constantly. And so it was a lot. And then my coworkers donated a lot of PTO to me, which was amazing because, we were younger.
You
and,
can do that with extra PTO that you have. Give it to someone else.
There are guidelines with different companies, and you have to check with your HR because there are
incredible.
rules about it. I want to say you have to, you can't just donate PTO, say for maternity leave, for a plain healthy maternity leave. You can't do that. But if it's special circumstances, you can. And a lot of my coworkers did that for me, and I will always be grateful.
That's amazing.
And they took my animals. My coworkers took my animals.
Yeah.
But yeah, my village has just shown up for me over and over again, thankfully. I've had supportive bosses that have supported things like the childbirth class and Mountain Mamas.
Awesome. All right. Well,
Love everything about this. Thank you.
this is great.
Absolutely, that was so much fun.
Thank you.
How incredible to have you with us.
Yes. Yay!
Don't forget to follow us on social media at ITA_village_pod on Instagram. Email us at itavillagepodcast@gmail.com. Anything you want to share, please do. There's a form in the link in bio, or just email us and we'll get that, considered. We really want to hear from you all. We're trying to release another series after our interview series that really looks at the experiences in the Valley coming directly from you. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Kelsey, for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be you.
Hello. Thank you for joining us for our interview with Kelsey Weaver. I hope you got something valuable out of that. I know that we sure did. Next up, we'll be interviewing Katie Thomas of Gunnison Valley's Project Hope. They have an upcoming event I wanted to let you know about before their episode airs. On August 28th, they'll be hosting a fundraising luncheon. It's their 4th annual fundraising luncheon, and it's called Stand With Me. You can go ahead and check that out online and get your tickets now. If you can't show up for the event, you can show support a lot of different ways for Project Hope. You could join the board, help make chili for Night of Lights, man one of their booths at a local concert. There are so many different ways to reach out and help these organizations that we've been focusing on in these interviews. So please do reach out, connect people that you know need those resources, and help the organizations if you can. Again, Stand With Me Luncheon, August 28th. Get your tickets today.